Stop what you are doing right now. Freeze in place. We are going to take the RX Readiness Test 001. The instructions for this test, guys, listen up. This is the RX Readiness Test 001. Ready? Answer the 3 following questions honestly below. Honestly, do not lie or cheat. This is not the time to bullshit us, guys, okay? Or yourselves. And share your honest answers below in the commentaries. Just 3 questions. Number 1, where are you right now? Where exactly are you? What are you doing right now? Right now, I am sitting at my desk talking to you, okay? But at the time of this test, exactly where are you? Just pause in place right now. Number 2, how long does it take you to have a loaded long arm in your hands? We'll talk about this after a minute. Time yourself, okay? So pause the video now and time yourself. Have a loaded long arm in your hands. Go. Okay, you should all have a loaded long arm in your hands right now. If not, how long does it take you to get one? Log your answers and start thinking. Here's a question for you. How long did that take you? How many of yours could be wiped out in that time? This ain't a joke. People think this is hyperbole. People think this is bullshit joke for years. I keep telling them. And the reality keeps coming around to instruct us. The reality continues to instruct us that as long as there's assholes out there winding up these wind-up toys and turning them loose on us. Yeah, I said that. Did you hear what I said? Talk more about that on Patreon. As long as there's these wind-up toys out there trying to wreak havoc, doesn't matter if you're where you live, what country you live in. Is this not a repeating theme? What is the terminal learning objective of reality here? How many seconds does it take you to stop being a helpless victim from an organized attacker? That's number 2. That's the length of time in which you and yours are being wiped out, and that's the length of time where you are a helpless victim until you have a loaded long arm in your hands. We'll talk about your pea shooters in a minute, so calm down. Yes, I do recommend having that as well. Better than nothing. Number 3, what is RX Rifle Tip 001? You can find that on Patreon. Anyone who has taken the RX Rifle Tips to heart will not have been in this situation. What's the first rifle tip you think I might tell people? If you don't have it on you, if you do not have it with you now, you don't have it, period. It does not matter how your firearm feels in your hand at the gun store. It doesn't matter how cool you are on your flat range. It doesn't matter what the hell kind of setup you have in light and sling and all that bullshit that everyone posts on their Facebook page, lays on the coffee table, takes it out, but then puts it away. There are reasons to keep your long arm with you. They teach this to privates. I remember being a little private one time. You don't ever have it not with you. If you're not paying attention for a quarter second, they will steal your rifle. And then you will get, in the old days, you don't even want to know what they would do. You would learn not to do that. You would learn not to have your rifle with you. So, on Patreon, where we do training, okay? And then we'll talk about the situation and the wind-up toys in a minute, probably. I have a number of participants here on Patreon. I'll just read you some results. Now, I love the people here because they're honest and they're vested into the training. They're aligned properly. They're not going to bullshit you guys. It's not like reading comments everywhere else. Everyone's just full of shit all the time. From JP, number 1, he's sitting on the couch. Number 2, takes 9 seconds. Number 3, if you don't have it on you, you don't got it. He has a pistol and a short sword 1 second away. Never leave the house without several pistols on my person, but rifle may be a good idea for the car. You need a rifle with you, man. Pistols are good for like muggers in the alley. Pistols good for like normal crime type shit. You think you can fight off a guy with a long arm with your pistol? Now, some guys have effectively done that. We had a wind-up toy here not that long ago in my state. Believe it or not, this shit never happens here until recently, until they imported a bunch of people in 2017 from the magical murder playground. And they turned them loose on everybody. They ambushed some police, and the cop was experienced enough to actually win that gunfight with his pistol, with the element of surprise and a little bit of violence of action. So he was able to win, but I wouldn't count on that. You can't be a first responder effectively to a guy with a long gun if you're not ready for it. And you don't need 50,000 guys to do it. You just need balls and a long arm. Like, if you have a long arm and balls, man, you end that shit immediately. Think about it like this too, man, and we mentioned this a second ago. How many of yours will die in the amount of time it takes you to go and get your shit together? You're going to don all that stuff? Like, this stuff happens right now. 1 second you're bowling, the next second you're in a battle. Or you're running to hide behind the pins. A full-grown bearded-ass man should be ready to fight that shit, man. Not talking shit. We are good people in the United States. For the most part, we just want to love our families, have a good time. It's unthinkable that it could ever happen where you are, right? So I'm not giving anyone any hard times. I'm just saying, like, nobody thinks it can happen. Did you know that they have fire extinguishers in schools, man? Did you know that, like, most oil field guys have SCBA gear? And, that's oxygen mask. And also fire, extinguisher stuff all over in their truck. Every single truck has that stuff for a lot of these jobs. Why? What do you think, there's going to be poison gas? Well, I freaking hope not. But if there is, I don't want everyone to die. Here's another one. Mr. Casey is in his home office. 45 seconds, but that is his .22 Magnum yard gun. I will improve on that and make it a proper center fire rifle. Number 3, I don't know. Okay, if you don't know what number 3 is, Casey, rifle tips under the Patreon tag rifle tips. They're funny. They're like 30 seconds long or 1 minute long, but they're 100% true. And if everyone thought it was just some kind of pop culture shit that we do, it's not. These are rules to live by, man. If you don't have it on you, you don't have it, period. Right? So find the rifle tips tag when you're on Patreon, okay? You have the access to that on pretty much all levels. Jelfins, Miami. QSL, tier 1. Well, yes, at desktop reading. Reading you, okay? Number 2, rifle 7 seconds from the desk. Longer anywhere else. And 3, when you have the mezuzah on your door, sidearm for political exchanges, okay? So he's referencing other training materials, talking about the ultimate home security system and how that functions. All right, so Mike is at the office, and it's 30 minutes away, and he doesn't know rifle tip 001. Okay, rifle tip 001 is if you do not have it with you, you do not have it, period. Rifle training is completely moot point, completely useless if you don't have your rifle with you. And if bad guys only attack flat ranges where you're practicing, then that's not how that shit works. They attack you when you have your pants down. So here's something. I made this post when I was finishing up on the Thunderbox, the can. And I thought this is a good time for me to be honest. So from flush to loaded and ready, 6 seconds, which I think is way too long, okay? I could improve that number, and I'm going to. Okay? I like to have it under 3 seconds if possible. Usually it's like 1 second. For 50% of the day, it's like 1 second away to a long arm because it's with me. Sometimes it's 3 seconds. That's like getting out of the chair and walking across the room and grabbing it. And in this case, I had to finish up on my most vulnerable throne get off and not slip on the floor wearing my socks, because I don't wear my shoes inside the winter because it's muddy. And so not slipping on the linoleum here to get to my long arm was 6 seconds. Okay, and that's walking, not running. Just as a point of reference. This is not a contest with me or your brothers. This is a freaking contest with the bad guy. This is not a contest with us. You're not trying to impress us. This is a contest between you and the freaking bad guy who has a rifle in his hands now. He has 0 seconds to be ready to go, and you have how many seconds? You understand the concept? You know, people gave me shit. I'll repeat it again. People gave me shit my whole life. I was 16, I would keep my rifle with me in the front seat of my Datsun 280Z. And a Virginia Dragoon revolver, 44 Magnum. Cowboy style, whatever, it's better than nothing. Tell you what, people always talk shit. I'd have even uncles that I love to be like, well, what the hell do you think you need that for? In reference to the Mini 14 I carried later on when I bought one of those, because it was my first carbine. You know? Well, what the hell would you need that for? What do you mean, what would you need that for? What does anyone need this for? Same reason an army guy would need it, yes. When is a terrorist ever going to attack your village, Rex? Weird. This shit seems to happen all the time. Have you not remembered the last 25, 30 years? When are the Russians going to invade your town, Rex? You freaking kidding me, man? When are the Russians going to invade your town? I don't know. You guys tell me. Unbelievable. What do you think? Like, what would you need it at a concert for? That's a public space. You don't need a rifle at a concert. When would someone just climb up on top of a building and just start hammering away at a concert? That would never happen, Rex. I literally, man, I'll tell you what, I could tell you stories. Just one after another, people talking shit, making fun, sneering at you. You put the thing, because when I change cars, I keep the rifle with me. Like, okay, I'm going into this car. Grab the M4, throw it in there. You gotta, if you do not have it on you, you don't have it. You don't have time for that shit. You don't have the muscle memory to go through the steps of not just defeating the garment, but defeating the safe code and the tailgate and all that shit. Like, if you do not have it in your hands, you basically don't have it. Now, where you live, it's very possible that it's not legal or practical. And if you live in Crackville, then a lot of this stuff might be kind of a pain in the ass to try to execute. What's the implied task there? Don't live in Crackville. But in my part of the world, it's absolutely a daily part of life for almost everyone I know. Almost everyone I know out here has a long arm, like within reach, within a few seconds at least. Even the guys that I would consider to be like not ready at all are like 10 seconds away from a loaded rifle. And when I say that, I mean like a America's rifle, like an AR. QSL in my house, 0.06 seconds. Keep that thing on you. Exactly. Good job, Andrew. That means you're basically sitting right with it, right? So half a second, a little more than half a second. Very good. I want you guys to log this. Here's one, Mr. Mauser. At work, 45 minutes from the house. Probably 50 minutes to get a loaded long arm. I think it was always to keep a loaded firearm within arm's reach. Yes, you guys are learning, right? This is not theoretical. This is not shit we just say in the echo chamber of digital land. You choose whether you're the helpless one or not, right? And if you know, it's like, same thing is true with a medical kit. I keep a full bore, like Bearfac blowout kit right there. I got one right by the kitchen where the knives are. Imagine that. I got one, I think, in the bathroom. I got several in the entryway. I got one in each, actually more than one in each car. I got them in the back seat, tied up on the, where you have the seat belts and stuff. So they're always kind of tied down, and I keep them up front as well. In the shop, I have the big scout level, or squad level, you know, where you can multiple casualties kit, like the big backpack. I don't know what the hell they call them. But like stuff like that is normal, right? Just like keeping a Phillips screwdriver in your desk, man. Like, what if you need it? Then it's beyond inconvenient to not have a rifle when you need it. It's beyond inconvenient to not have a rifle when you need it. So, we've been talking about this on Patreon for a million years now. Does the news affect you? Well, it shouldn't. If it does, then you're not shored up already. If you don't have a rifle that's capable of taking out these kind of threats, then I don't know what the hell's the matter with you. You need to go and fix that immediately. Go and grab an M4, put a little LPVO on there, a little prismatic scope or whatever, and learn how to use that damn thing. Go to some classes. Okay? Go to some classes. Go train with Reed or go take some real classes. Do AR1 next time we do it, if we ever do it again. But all that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how well trained you are if you do not have that shit in your hands. I don't want to get too crazy, but I know that anyone who's halfway trained who went bonkers or got wound up by the bad guys will absolutely wreak havoc within the amount of time it takes most people to get to their shit. Like, they will have completed their thing before anyone's ready. Almost guaranteed every time. People just don't carry long arms with them anymore. My brothers do. My real brothers, they do. They go out to check the mail. They have the rifle on them. Isn't that something? We all have our vulnerabilities. Sometimes you let your guard down when you're around friends. You don't want to be socially awkward. But, you know, the reason it's socially awkward is because we've lost touch with reality in this country, and it's awkward to be ready. Now, how effed up is that? Should not be awkward to be ready. You should not have to feel bad for having a fire extinguisher. Well, I don't want anyone to see my fire extinguisher, God forbid. They might think I'm a lunatic. They might think I'm some kind of pyro wannabe, you know? No, the guy who has a fire extinguisher is not excited to have fire. He's excited. He does not want the fire to burn everything. Because he is so against fire, he has a fire extinguisher. If you have a bad guy extinguisher, that's not because you're so for bad guys. It means you want to extinguish bad guys when they pop up. It means you love your family and children and your community. And the further they venture from the center of the bullseye of reality, which is you are the first responder, period. You are. They can do everything they ever wanted to do before the Army gets there, as we've seen a couple weeks ago with the stuff that's going on overseas. You can't delegate it out to people that, you know what I mean, are not where you are. How long is it going to take them to come help you? For God's sakes. The farther they venture from the reality that you have to be armed in order to protect yourself, they keep putting more and more gaps, and they keep putting more and more obstacles. They remove you farther and farther from your loaded rifle in your hands. The more steps they take to ensure that you have to be farther from a loaded rifle, the more this shit increases. It's going to continue to increase in areas like that. Look at Chicago. Look at where this shit happened. Apparently that was not part of the culture. Anyone who lives in that state cannot claim to be in a pro-firearms, pro-readiness culture. At least the culture you're surrounded by is not that way, because it was illegal and it wasn't. Proof is in the pudding. When we had this wind-up toy go nuts up here a couple months ago in ambush police, I didn't know what was going on. I was actually in the big town at that time. I had to go to the store. Well, I come out to the store, and there's this kind of heavy-set old guy sitting on the tailgate of his truck visiting a bunch of old church ladies, kind of sitting there, hey, kind of rocking back and forth. Hey, how you doing, sir? And he had his FN full-size 45 on him, and then he had a carbine laying next to him, just in the parking lot of the Wally World. And I thought, what's going on? Turns out I watched the news later, caught it. Yeah, there was an attack. So communities that can regulate themselves, These guys would love you to believe, these DAs and these cops who like are anti-gun and all this shit, would love you to believe that they're the only person in the world that can protect you when it takes them a half hour to come sort shit out. And like as we've seen in Texas, they get there and it takes them how long to get their shit together to grow a pair of nuts, to go and take care of the bad guy? Standing there for like hours, like washing their hands and shit. Wait, we're gonna be tough in a minute here, any minute now. Just hold on, we're getting ready. See, that shit doesn't work. You are the one that has to do it. Is it dangerous to jump in there and get it done when you don't know how many people are responding? Yes, that's why you need to train. That's why you need to train on how to do that. You need to have your uniform. You need to understand what the procedure is, right? There is training required to do an effective job. But if you don't have the tools, like a trained guy, it doesn't matter how well trained you are, if you don't have your shit with you. How many operators and super duper ninja guys that just it ain't about winning shooting competitions. How many of you guys have your rifle with you right now? Most of the guys I know that live in that world don't have their shit ready to go. Okay? It's a mindset thing, man. You're going to delegate it out. You're going to die. So, how much more of this wind-up toy activity you think is going to go on? Why do I say wind-up toy? How many of these guys are hearing voices and they're repeating the same lines that all the other guys? How come the voices talking to these guys always say the same shit or the same category of thing? Which is almost like it was a script written by a boob behind a computer with a particular job. I'm not a conspiracy guy. I have no idea. Or am I? Wait a minute. Is there a conspiracy, you think? Who would possibly conspire to disarm everybody in the United States? Psychopath murderers in suits. You don't think they're conspiring to disarm you when they've been doing it since the frickin' 1800s? The Redcoats tried doing that shit one time. How'd that work out for them? The Redcoats were conspiring to disarm you. Shit don't stop then. Every generation is trying to do it. The criminal class of every generation wants to disarm you. You're not crazy if you want to protect your family, man. I would say this. Everyone needs to continuously submit themselves to accountability and pressure and training of some brothers that can hold them accountable, do these drills. We provide that on Patreon. If you want to join us on Patreon, I'll leave stuff below on how to get in there. But you need to continuously improve your position, right? If you're good, you need to continuously improve your position. Okay?
Look, I fixed it.
You fixed it. Let me see. Look at this. Then you can enjoy the fun things in life, like this Jurassic Park Jeep looking thing. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So happy. I love you, mister. Frickin' people are just slobbering, hypnotized by their Babylonian rectangles of death. These things here. This has told people that the government is their God and their savior, and the only person that can help them tie their shoelaces. The government will help you. They will, if some bad guy happens, they're on their app trying to log into some shit for the app to help them. Flat tire happens, they call the governor. I mean, come on, man. Gonna stand there and get murdered because it's politically correct? It's retarded. So you can join us if you want to train more. And for those of you, the rest of you, be ready. You have to time yourself. You have to be real. Do not let your guard down and remove yourself from areas where the culture is such that that kind of shit just happens. I don't live in towns like that, man. Not anymore. You cannot possibly be ready for being the covering of everyone around you in areas like that. You just can't afford it. So go someplace more rural where people are more like you, where the per capita is better, with people that are not helpless. Every farmer I know growing up and rancher, when they're feeding cattle around here, or they're driving the combine or checking on the calves, they always in the cab of their tractor have a rifle. Every old lady I know around here that grew up in these small towns, they have a revolver under the seat of the car. If your state does not allow you to do that as a law-abiding citizen, then what the hell is the matter with your state? You need to move, or you need to fix it, okay? Yes, they are going to ramp it up. It's election time. They're going to ramp it up on every front, man. It's their thing. They turn up the volume. And they keep cranking up the spring, man. So for more on that, I'm not going to talk about that publicly here. We'll talk about it on Patreon. You guys have a good, safe day. Don't get wound up on the propaganda. Spend your energy fortifying your position and improving your numbers. Spend your energy fortifying your position, not doom scrolling. Oh my God, did you see the thing that happened? And arguing online. That'll alert them, Rex. I typed stuff at liberals online. Look, that'll show them. Ha 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 ha. Dude, that ain't gonna freaking do anything. Spend your time and energy not arguing with people on here, shoring up your situation, improving your numbers, and then if the shit, God willing, happens in proximity to a good person, it'll be snuffed out almost immediately. How about all the unheard psychopaths that have been put down and never got famous? How about them apples? See more of that. And with that, you guys have a good day. Rex out.